Hello and welcome to everybody that's tuning in today, friends of Eduten. We're so happy to have you here. And this month's webinar is a little bit different to the usual format in that it's geared towards our friends of Eduten who are already using Edutens in their classroom or school. But don't despair if you're not yet using it, because there's a lot to learn in this session about analytics as well. And who better to share all of this wonderful information with us than Dr. Eika Kurvinen. Dr. Eika, welcome to today's webinar.
Thank you, Melissa, for the introduction, and welcome everybody who has tuned in or is watching the recording later on. Great to have you here.
Yeah, and nice that you mentioned it, because this recording will be available for all our friends of Eduten in the coming months and years, because it's such an important webinar about the wonderful upgrades and updates to the Eduten platform. And we have the brains behind this whole thing is Dr. Aker. He has a PhD in mathematics. Don't ask him about how to heal a sore tooth, but anything mathematics related, he's the doctor that's on call. So we're very lucky to have such experts in our midst at Eduten. But before we get started, and the way this next 45 minutes or so is going to go, is that Dr. Aker is going to show us all about the wonderful upgrades and updates to the learning analytics section of the platform, which are very important, because if you're not using them so far, you've got to hop on and get the most use out of the Eduten platform as you can. And that would be by using these wonderful analytics. Half the wonder of Eduten platform is the platform itself, where children can engage in wonderful mathematics activities. Think digital learning, digital textbook. So it motivates students, improves their mathematics results, and the other side of it are the analytics that are available for the teachers. So the kids aren't just playing games in the corner and you're not seeing what they're doing. At the click of a button, you can find out how they've progressed, where they need extra help. There's just so much to it. So this is why this webinar is so important. So I think that we could probably just dive in and get started. But before we do, Dr. Aker, could you please reintroduce yourself, what you do at Eduten, and also give us a little bit of insight into why learning analytics, it's a big word, maybe tell us what it means and why they're so important for teachers.
For sure, of course. So my role here at Eduten is the head of pedagogy. So it's not only about the content, what we provide in Eduten, but it's also how we provide it, what's the learning experience, and what kind of information, learning analytics we can provide to teachers that would actually be the most beneficial for them to conduct their work. As little effort required as possible. Of course, we want to save your time.
Yeah,
About learning analytics.
sorry, I just
Go
wanted to
ahead.
add I've just had this insight, and that is it's so important not only for our students to improve their results, learn something new, and have a good time, but also that the teachers are making the most of the Eduten platform. And that's a really important note, because we're constantly looking at how we can do it better and serve our friends of Eduten better. So yes, that's your focus as well. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it was very, very important highlight. Thank you very much for highlighting those matters. About the learning analytics itself, it's actually something that every teacher does. Like basically, if not every day, at least every week, you do it for sure. The word itself feels maybe big and might be scary. It might resemble something like data analytics and all that black magic that could be doing there. But in real life, teachers do this all the time. When you have an exam, you grade them, you have scores, you put them together, you convert them into marks. You might count the average of the exam to see how difficult it was, how your students performed on average, and things like that. That's all learning analytics, and it has always been a huge part of your work. But with digital tools, you get actually more benefits from the analytics without having to do things by yourself. So
Mm.
that things happen automatically when we can uh, get the data straight from the students without intervening from the teacher.
Yes. So I guess analytics are basically when teachers mark work. That's in a nutshell. It's the marking, it's looking at the results and doing something with those results. Would that be correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Now,
Yes.
already the analytics side of the platform, the AI driven analytics were fantastic. But you wanted to do some upgrades, which you've done, and they went live a couple of days ago. And I'd just like to share before you get on to tell us about the intricacies of it that we've already had wonderful feedback from one of our partners in Indonesia has mentioned that they like the new statistics window. Oops, spoiler alert. I hope I haven't spoiled it for you, Dr. Aker. And they're finding it way easier to check now. And one of our partners at Everest School has already come back with feedbacks about more analytics being very useful, and they love that they don't need to check a separate analytics section. So I guess you're going to tell us about that. So wonderful feedback already, and it's just been launched. So now we've got the official launch here. So take it away about explaining to us what you've done, how it's going to benefit our teachers, and most importantly, how to access these things. Oh, and I will add, if you're watching now and you have some questions related to learning analytics for Dr. Aker, jump on board with that and write your questions in the chat, and we will do our best to get to them by the end of this chat. Otherwise, just sit and enjoy.
Thank you, Melissa. Before I dive into the details, I just mention here that why did we start all this makeover for the dashboard? As we realize it's always risky to do changes. We are accustomed to certain things. We have routines, how we work, and stuff like that, and it's always risky to change those. But we actually realized through surveys, through communicating with our users, talking to people, that a lot of teachers were actually not aware or were not using some of the key features that we provide, some of the things we feel would be beneficial for most teachers. So, of course, we wondered why. And we realized that we are actually not giving them the space they require. We are actually, well, not hiding them per se, but they're not in the most convenient place possible. So we took an approach to think first, what are the key things a teacher would love to have on their screen when they log in to support their Eduten experience the best? And basically we found out a couple of things. First of them is being, uh, as a teacher, I would really much like to know, are my students working or not? And if they are, which one of them are doing a good job and which of them are maybe dragging the feet a little bit.
Needing extra
That
support.
is exactly, thank you. And we have great tools in Eduten to provide that extra support, kind of doing things for you if you are a teacher. But we also know this that a lot of the teachers are not aware of this feature, or it's not clear how to use it. So we also thought that we'll bring it back on the dashboard, so it's right there at your fingertips.
Wonderful.
But
That sounds great.
maybe I should switch to the screen share, start explaining things from there.
Yes,
So
please do. I love this idea about teacher features. Great, more, better teacher features. So let's hear all about them.
definitely. So if you have logged in already into Eduten after this upgrade, you've noticed that there's this light blue bar on top. If you click that, you will get a short breakdown of all the new things that we have here on the dashboard and explanations for those. Uh, I won't be reading that today. I will be doing my own explanations, but if you want a recap of everything I told you, you'll find it there.
Okay, so you just click on that blue line at the top and it'll bring it straight up in front of you.
Yes.
Fabulous.
So let's start. I think the biggest attraction here on the dashboard is now the big green box up here. And I think that's also one of the most important things for teachers. When we work on the lessons, the students are targeting to get trophies. And basically, in order to pass a lesson or to complete a lesson, they need to get a trophy. Previously, you had to go in the analytics view to get the list of the students and which trophies they have from your current lesson. Now in this new dashboard, we actually show you automatically the latest lesson with student submissions. And you can see the multiplication tables 2, 5, and 10 lesson here is highlighted, it's selected. It says it here on the top as well. So this is my current lesson. And the new thing here is that in addition to showing the trophies, you can also see this sad face, which actually indicates those students who have not yet managed to get the trophy. So as a teacher, I can easily check that which 4 students still need to work more on this lesson to complete it.
Great. And to bring those student names up, have you just clicked on the sad face? Have you?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. And you can click any of the trophies to bring
Yes.
out the list of students who actually have already completed that stage.
Very good.
And by default, you will see the latest lesson, but I might be interested in other lessons as well. So you can actually switch the information on this dashboard. The whole dashboard will switch if you click the lesson on the lesson list. So now I switch to multiplication tables of 6 and 7, for example. So it's as easy as that.
Mm.
Previously, when you click the lesson, you actually got to see the contents of the lesson, exercises and all that stuff. That's not gone, it's still here. Now you just click the edit lesson here on the green box, and that will take you to see all the exercises and additional stuff included in the lesson. So let me click it. It's as it used to be, and I'll click the Eduten logo on top left to go back to the dashboard.
Yes, very good. So, in a way, you've just added value to these updates and upgrades. So, if teachers are accustomed to looking at certain information and they're wondering where it is, it's still all there. It's just easier
Yeah.
to access. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we highlighted the most important things, and we noticed that there are some things that are not necessarily as important, so they are kind of moved to the side, so they're not distracting.
Yes, wonderful. And we don't need more noise in our lives, do we? So, yeah, that sounds like a very sensible upgrade.
Yeah. Another huge upgrade here is the learning stream, and I really love it. Um, it's not only for this lesson, but it's actually for the whole course. You get to see when your students achieve those trophies, no matter which lesson it is from. Well, most of these trophies are from the current lesson, but also there is the history of previous lessons that I can see here on the list. So no matter which lesson your student is working on, if they get a trophy, you will see it here on your learning stream. And I think this is really cool.
Yeah.
The other cool thing here is the suggestions. So Eduten is actually constantly monitoring your students and their learning progress. And it might notice that some students might need some additional help, maybe some easier tasks to work on to kind of improve their performance, or some students might require extra challenge. And for those, the learning stream has the suggestions. They used to be here in the user section, and a lot of teachers didn't find them. But now we brought them here on the dashboard, and we can expand them so we can actually see which students are there uh, highlighted for the suggestions. And you can either accept them all or accept or discard one by one. Uh, why do we actually ask you about this? Great question. Uh, we realize that AI has limitations, and the teacher is actually the one with the best pedagogical knowledge of your class. And we treat AI as a sidekick or a help. So we actually make the AI work for you. We make the AI ask you the question, do you agree with me? Should we give easier tasks to the student, or do you actually disagree with me? So
Mm.
uh, this is our kind of principle that we give the power to the teacher to make the important decisions, but we help you to identify maybe the needs for these decisions through the AI.
Yes, I love that. So it's almost like a relationship between the teacher and the AI, and then you're gathering more and more feedback so we can keep doing it even better. It's just great. Wow. I didn't even
Exactly.
realize that existed. Great. I'm learning something new as well.
Something new every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Another huge update here is the student diligence. We had it previously here as well, but it was for the whole course. So it showed huge amount of data. But we realized that on day-to-day basis, it's actually more important to see what's going on in the current lesson. So we also changed the student diligence to highlight this lesson. And there are a couple of important changes here. The first one being the score axis. It's no more just the scores, but it's actually how many percentage of maximum the student have achieved. So you can easily see uh, uh, who has completed basically all the exercises and who has just begun working on those exercises.
Okay.
Another cool thing here is the lines. You can see here the bronze line, silver line, gold line, and diamond. And those are the trophy limits for this lesson. So you can also there see where the students are uh, going and how far they already reached. Sometimes it's still important and interesting to see the bigger picture, to see the whole course. And that's why we included also the option here behind the dot menu. You can get some more uh, options here. You got the option to export the data, but you can also have the option to see the data for the whole course. So you can actually get the bigger picture here.
Wow. That's amazing. Dr. Aker, I would like to ask you because, as a person who sometimes fumbles or doesn't feel so confident with technology, is there anything that we can do wrong? Like, I'm just wondering, can we click something and lose everything forever, or is it quite safe?
No, it's very safe. I would say that when you explore the analytics, when you do these things, you don't need to worry about if there is something about removing students or lessons, then you maybe need to be careful. But
Hmm.
the rule of thumb is that you can't ruin anything. So don't be afraid of clicking the dot menus or exporting the data or switching the views or things like that. It's completely safe.
Yeah, so this is really an invitation to have a poke around and have a good look at what's new because it just sounds so useful.
It definitely is. And this is not all. If
What?
we scroll
Wait,
down,
there's
if
more?
we there's more. If we scroll down, we actually have two more items here on the board. The latest activity is actually something that used to be on the dashboard as well. So it's not completely new. But the new thing is that there's also the options to show the current lesson, which is the multiplication tables of 2, 5, and 10.
Yep.
But behind the dot menu, you can still go for the whole course. If your students are not working, for example, on the same lesson or something like that, you can still get to see kind of the bigger picture there as well.
I see.
But maybe the biggest change and one of my favorites is the skills. Uh, it's been there here before. It's been in the analytics part, but again, I think this is very important for every teacher to be able to identify which areas are going well, which areas need more work,
Mm.
and now it's here on the dashboard.
Okay. So
So,
tell us a bit more
it,
about that.
yeah,
Are you talking about the bottom quarter of the screen, the bottom right hand side there?
Yes, we are
Yes.
talking about this graph, which
Yep.
has these blocks of green, orange, and red.
Hmm.
So basically, it's the same graph and works in a traffic light principle. So the green things are going well, orange things are well, they're going so-so. It could be improved, but it's not kind of severe yet.
Yep.
And the red parts mean that students are making quite a lot of mistakes, so it might be a good idea to actually do something about it.
Yes. Very good.
The white areas just means that there is not enough data yet for that student from that skill, so there needs to be more work done on Eduten to actually see the better breakdown of what's going on. And one extremely cool new thing there is if you click one of those blocks, for example, here I have student 13 and multiplication skill, which is orange. When I click it, it
Oh, wow.
actually opens me a breakdown of what the student has been doing.
Incredible.
So, so here we get to see how many times student usually tries one exercise, what's the average accuracy, what's the, well, the colors go from numbers from 1 to 5. So the orange is number 3 here. So you get to see the status as well. But what I feel is the most valuable thing here on the table is that we get to see the questions that were answered wrong. So these are the incorrect answers. And
Yes.
typically, you are able to identify some factors from the answers that are causing the problems. For some students, it might be something like multiplying with a zero, and they might kind of make mistakes on that. Or it might be something like, uh, in addition, for example, being off by one. It's a very typical problem. So this gives you maybe an idea what's going on with the skills.
Yeah.
And this is the skills breakdown is actually a lot more accurate than just using the accuracy. So you might see a pretty good accuracy for a student and still see some issues with the certain skill. So this is actually a very kind of very accurate way of seeing those issues because it gets the breakdown on a question level.
And somehow more comprehensive, I guess.
Yeah,
So
thank you. That's the
can you,
word I was looking for.
yeah, can you point again to where one should click to find that breakdown? Was it so you would go to this bottom area with the traffic light graph with all the coloured
Yeah.
squares, click on that.
Uh, Click on one of those blocks and it will
Okay.
kind of show the details
Yes.
in that block.
Really easy and very important. Oh, wow, that's fabulous. Do we have any other upgrades to the? I mean, I can't imagine that there'd be anything else, but is there more?
Well, there is something still on the dashboard. I want to talk about a little bit about the lessons here because it used to be longer or taller by default, but we
Okay.
wanted to create more space for the important crafts. But
Hmm.
you can still expand it because this makes
Oh, very good.
exploring the lessons a lot easier. So you can see more at once.
And to expand
Uh,
that, we just click there at the top left-hand corner, do we?
yes,
Yes.
yes. Here are these two arrows. You can expand and you can make it
Great.
smaller again.
Yep.
Uh, the search function is still here. You can still look for the lessons. And for some teachers using the kind of very advanced things, we have the add content. It's still here. It's just behind the dot menu. Also the settings, if you want to set the default settings for these lessons, is still here, just behind the dot menu.
Right. Okay. That's very good. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think we got a question from the audience, like, are there any changes in the actual graphs, tables, things like that in the analytics part?
Yes, great
And
question. Thank you,
yes,
David. Have the charts, graphs, stats on the actual analytics page changed? Very good question.
There are some minor changes here as well, not as drastic, but let me show you. This is probably the biggest change of them all, the lesson progress. We actually noticed that our developers have huge screens and it's very easy to fit a lot of data on the tables. So
Mm,
we actually made the lesson progress table a bit more compact. So we kind of made things easier to read on the smaller
yes,
screens.
yes,
The
great.
other thing we did here, we actually added one new column, status, and we wanted to highlight certain students. And in this case, we have students whose accuracy is on the lower side. It's not green, but it's orange or it's red. In the other cases, we have certain students here on the list that don't have the trophy yet. So those are also highlighted in red. So if you see something red on your lesson progress here, you know that there is
Yeah.
something wrong. Either the lesson is not completed or there might be some issues with the accuracy for that student.
Yeah, I love that. And that's a universal color of, take care or pay attention. And then it's also the universal color for give them a little bit more love. So I love that it's red and it represents so many things. That's fabulous.
Yeah, I had a teacher at the university in the teacher training, and he used to say that when you are marking anything, use the red color. It's the red color of love.
Yeah, exactly. I knew that all of you geeks behind everything going on also have this romantic heart. Thank you for sharing that with us and these upgrades. Okay, I've got also a question from Anonymous Fox. So, if we're
Okay.
already using the platform, how do
Mhm.
we access these changes? Are they just there now, or do we have to click anything particular or log in as a different person? How does it work?
No, if you are using Eduten, these are available for you right now in there automatically, no action required.
Excellent.
So
Okay.
go ahead, log in and use it. Just to get back to the previous question, there are some other minor changes here in the analytics part as well. Uh, kind of smaller things. We have reorganized some of the graphs, like for example, these exercises in the lesson graph. What usually it used to be at the bottom of this page. Now it's brought up a little bit. And we have actually added a load more button because these are now the most important things you can read here. And then there are some crafts that are nice, but they might be more distracting for a lot of cases. So
Yeah.
if you are missing something that you previously had there, click the load more, you find it there.
Yeah.
But
So
kind
it's
of
still
these are the
there.
things to
Yeah.
focus on.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Very good. Because you've put a lot of thought into what teachers need, and I guess listen to the feedback about what would be easier and what teachers actually want to access at the touch of a button. So yeah, very good. And just to
Yeah.
reiterate that you haven't actually taken anything away, you've added value with this upgrade.
Yeah, yeah, we added value and I'm yes, I think that nothing was removed like permanently. They were just switched places.
Yeah.
So everything you had previously, you still have there. It just might have a different place. But for all the, let's say, regular users, regular teachers, the things you might be missing are something that not a lot of the teachers were actually even using or aware of. So you're
Yeah.
safe. Nothing is very far away for you.
Right. It's just a
And
reshuffle.
talking about reorganizing stuff, I already had a couple of questions. Where are the diplomas or where is the Guardian report?
Oh, very
They used to be,
important.
yep. So now they are actually on the drop down. There's a new section called actions.
Okay.
And so far we have two actions. We have the diplomas and we have the Guardian report. So you will find them here. So they're
Okay.
not far, just switch places.
Yep. So that's on that first page as well, just at the top there under actions. You just click on that, and there you can find your report, Guardian reports, and diplomas. Okay, that sounds fantastic. So if you're watching this and you're not a current friend of Eduten, please become our friend. Have a look at the platform. There's lots of information to take in right now, but really it's as easy as can be. Not only do you have an excellent platform where students can basically access a digital textbook that's aligned with what you're currently doing in the classroom. But on the other hand, the other side of it is that the teacher has instant artificial intelligence access or AI driven access to all of these wonderful analytics at the press of a button. No more staying up late at night, marking copious notes, working out who needs help in this section. And I know it because I was a teacher some years ago when all we had was a pen and paper. So wow, if I had this when I was working as a teacher, I would be over the moon, getting a lot more sleep, that's for sure. So don't forget that if you want to join Eduten with a free trial, 4-week free trial, that's open to you. There's a link in the bottom of this chat. Click on it, get in touch with us, and we will set you up. And no doubt you'll probably come across Dr. Aker's face again. But also, just back to our friends of Eduten who are having a look at this, we really value that you're here, and we really value your ongoing feedback so we can continue making this better and better. Dr. Aker, is there anything else that you need to add that I've overtaken and forgotten about?
I just like to add here what you just said that we are constantly looking to improve the platform, and this is one of the examples. This is one of the biggest uh, makeovers we've done,
Yeah.
but this is also the power of feedback we get from the users, the teachers, the students, the parents, everybody. So when we actually hear that you're missing something, reflect to you're actually looking for something, or you think something is actually too cumbersome to access, let us know. And it might not be tomorrow, it might not be next week, but we will take those comments into account, and we will improve the overall experience constantly.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, yeah, we want to know that whether regular, everyday people such as myself can access this easily. So we love hearing wonderful feedback, but of course, we need constructive feedback to keep making this as easy to use and access, not only for our students, but for our teachers as well. We want you to get the most out of Eduten platform, and there really is so much to offer. So just a quick recap, Eduten platform has had an upgrade and an update in the analytics section, which really adds so much more value. But in a nutshell, it's basically easier to find stuff on that home screen. At a glance, you can see the most important things, considering things like the trophies, who needs extra support. Just click on those and you can find that. Also, you can drop down the menu there at the top left-hand side and have a better look, a more extensive look at the exercises that you've been doing. And you can also, don't just take for granted that the screen you see in front of you is everything. Scroll up and you can still see things like the graphs, and click on each and every student to find more comprehensive reports about what they've been doing. So that just sounds fantastic. And to my eye, it looks really well laid out and easy to use and access. It looks so pretty. What a makeover. This is a good one.
I'm so excited about this. We actually had this already kind of done a
Yeah.
while back, but there's of course a lot of things going around before we can publish things like this. So I have been waiting this a long time to get to release this and get all these new things to the teachers. I especially I love the sad face, not per se the sad face, but the fact that I can easily identify now the students who
Who
didn't
needs
complete the
support?
trophy at
Yeah.
this point. So these are the students I need to look after. These are the students I need to remind that, hey, we have this thing going on. You need to finish the lesson. The bronze trophy is not that hard. Anyone can achieve that. And if it is too hard, in fact, then Eduten can provide tools to help with that. We have the way to give easier tasks. We have the way to give more challenging tasks.
Yeah.
And By the way, that's a very good bridge to the next topic. So, even previously, the preliminary and bonus groups, the easier, more challenging tasks were administered here in the user section. You can still do it manually if you like. There are still the columns, easy exercises, bonus exercises, and if there is a checkbox that is ticked, the student has either those easier or more challenging tasks. And even if Eduten is not just suggesting this to you, you can still come here, you can still check the checkbox and give those tasks easier or more difficult to set student. So go ahead, use them.
Yeah,
These
fabulous.
are your these are your tools.
Yeah, these are your tools. Go and have a play around and see what you can build. I mean, it's just a great upgrade, and I'm so impressed and excited that such a brain has been behind it. So, thank you so much for the design and effort
Well,
into
that's
that.
a team effort. I can't
Yep.
take credit for everything.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We
That's,
actually this was a huge team effort. We
yeah,
actually had multiple expert groups thinking about the changes and what would be the important things and all that. So not just me. It's a group
yeah.
effort.
You're just representing, yeah, a bigger team. So that's fantastic. I'm so happy that you've been here to share that with us today, Dr. Aker. I'll just check that we don't have any more questions. Hold on a second. We've got something. Don't miss this question. Okay. Thank you, David, for your input here. Being as the students in our part of the world, we are still studying from home, COVID, and generally use iPads, tablets. Does the redesign render and fit well onto 7-inch to 10-inch screens? Fabulous question. Aka, you did talk a little bit about that before, but would you like to speak to that again, please?
Yeah, sure. So these changes don't actually reflect the students that much. This is upgrades for the teachers, it's tools for teachers, and these uh, new things they will render well on tablets as well. So no worries there. Uh,
Okay.
things will not be side by side on a tablet. They will be below each other, but
Okay.
they will work in exactly the same way. Just scroll the page and you will get to see each and every of these new things that are presented here on my screen share.
But in general, I guess you could say that the teachers who will be accessing this information, you would assume that they're using a desktop computer or at the very least a laptop. So it should look the way it looks, the way you've presented it. But if teachers are accessing it via a tablet, yes, all of that's there, but you just need to scroll down further.
Even I access the data sometimes from my mobile phone.
Yeah,
If I'm lazy and I need to check, did some of the students do something I asked or something like that? It
yeah.
just might lie around on a sofa, check that on my phone and go ahead. So
See,
no
this is
problem.
what doctors of mathematics do. They sit around at home on their sofa and still search all of the work that they've been doing. Somebody stop this man. Okay, thank you, David. That was a very good question and a very good point about students working from home during COVID. And just a reminder for, not analytics related, that Eduten works really well on an iPad or tablet, and it is a great solution to your COVID problems at the moment in education.
Yeah, actually, the learning analytics is one of the saviors for you if you have to do remote teaching. That's
Yeah, no dropping off papers or picking up books from house to house. It's all just there on your screen, and everything that your students have been doing can be accessed by you at the touch of a button. Okay, thank you, David, again for those questions and for your presence here today. Wonderful. Okay, would you be okay with winding this up now? I think this is a great resource to have for many months to come. Yes? Okay.
definitely yes.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you, Dr. Aker. These updates look absolutely wonderful. To my less than techie brain, I can understand exactly what you've spoken about it and you've laid it out really clearly, not only verbally just now, but on the screen in front of us. So I really look forward to any feedback coming from you. And don't forget, we have our support team that will take that feedback, feed it back to Dr. Aker, and then if you've got any problems, we'll also fix those as well. So all feedback is welcome. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for using Eduten platform.
Thank you, everybody. Great to have you here.
Bye for now.